Joining us today on the Monthly Social is American artist and singer Kelsie Kimberlin. Kelsie comes to us from Washington, D.C., and has been dropping music the last couple of years that focuses on social themes, often change, and always with a flair of modern sounds that captivate our ears, move us, and leave us wanting more. It's my pleasure to have her here today for a deep dive into her music and craft as an emerging global artist. Kelsie, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very happy, and it was nice to chat with you just before we kick things off here and exchanging stories about airplanes and things like that in the sky. So, you know, so look, speaking of that, I understand you're from Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America. Um, it sounds like something like, hey, who doesn't know about Washington and the United States, right? But what's one of your favorite things about having grown up in Washington?
Well, there's like a lot of things. We have a lot of different cultures here, so we have a great variety of food, which if anyone knows me, I am very about my food. I get hangry easily and I eat all kinds of foods except for onions. I despise onions with a passion. A really another cool thing here is the museums are all free. Unlike going to New York, you have to pay like $30 to get into a museum, but here you can do whatever. And I don't know if you guys have this where you live, but Mumbo Fries, it's like a DC thing. It's like fries with this sauce, and it's called Mumbo sauce, and it's fantastic. You get it on U Street, and it
No way.
changes your life. I am
Is
so
that our
sorry.
friend? Do we have a friend? Who is that?
This is my dog Ruby. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. Hey, hi, Ruby. It's not the first time. We have all sorts of pets that come on the show, so it's all cool. It's right on. Maybe we'll get to meet Ruby later. Is Ruby
I
a big dog?
I can get Ruby into the picture later.
Oh yeah, we
Are you
should. We should
from?
bring Ruby
Yeah.
on. Let's make Ruby famous. Let's give him Ruby some airtime.
Yeah, but Mumbo Fries will change your life. Guarantee it.
What's the sauce? What's that all about? Mumbo fries.
So that's another great question. I've always wanted to know myself. You can buy mumbo sauce like bottles, but no one ever tells you what's in it. But it's really good. I don't think it's good for you, but it tastes good.
You know what? I've never heard of it. And I don't know that, like, I just live north of Toronto here in Canada. So I don't know. I hope I'm not offending any restaurants that serve it in Toronto,
No, it's
but
just a DC thing, I think.
it's a
Like
DC thing.
like what we're known for. If you live in DC, you know what mumbo fries are.
What's with the free museums? How does that work?
Honestly, I don't know why they're all free, but they are, and I just think it's just great because like you get to learn so much, and then there's also really cool like art ones that bring in like it's like Yayoi Kusama. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's right now at the Smithsonian, and she has really cool art. She's one of my favorite artists, and you do have to buy tickets to see her stuff, but like if you go and you go in for free, you can walk by and like see it. You know what I mean? You just can't go in.
There's People are planning now that they've heard free museums, they're planning their trip to DC. I swear. Anything free, right? Um
I
and I you talk about Mobile Fries, you're a bit of a foodie, it sounds like, so that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah. Um,
Right on.
Food and I are very good friends. I don't like people that don't eat after 8 o'clock. My favorite time to eat is probably midnight.
So
Yeah.
does it factor into when you're recording music at all or anything or
So I have to eat before I go to the studio, or I get really hangry. So there have been times in the studio I'll text my dad like in the middle of singing. I'm like, "Can you go get some McDonald's French fries, please?" I was like, "I need some salt." um, So yeah, I'm a big like middle of the night kind of eater though. Like if my dog wakes me up at 3 a.m., like I'll go downstairs and like raid the pantry before I go back to bed.
I want to mention right here that you just gave McDonald's like some free advertising. You're like, hey, product placement here. Kelsie Kimberlin, I'm eating your fries. They owe you. McDonald's owes you. That's what it comes down to. So um but Kelsie, if we get to music here, you didn't just stumble on music in the last couple of years. Um it seems like it's been part of your life since you were about 5 years old. You participated in church choirs, which I love. I love church choirs. I love the way they sound. So I thought that was really cool. You eventually went on to take, some lessons, and you recorded some songs. Now, that's at a very young age. Do you ever go back and listen to your youthful songs or your youthful music? Or is there one that has kind of stuck with you over the years?
So actually it's interesting. I've never been asked this question, but I actually have rewritten a lot of my old songs that I haven't released, and I've like re-recorded them, and like made them into a more like modern production. So that's a big thing that I've been doing. And then one that I really like the most, I think out of like all of them, if I were to pick one, it's one called Eternal Life. I haven't released it yet. I might be releasing it sometime in the next year. It was just mixed by Liam Nolan, so we're gonna see if how I like
Wow.
it and decide what to do from there. But
So breaking news, you might release a song called Eternal Life. And that's one of your ones when you were much younger.
I think I first sang it when I was like 11.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was a long
What
time ago.
I mean, back when you're 11, you're younger. Where did you get the motivation to write songs, or the idea that you had in your songs back then?
It was really just, I've been involved with like music my whole life because of my dad and, because of church choirs. But a big thing like was my dad, like watching him, like he used to take me to a bunch of protests growing up and like I don't know if I should tell this story, but I'm gonna tell it anyways. It was like when everyone was like trying to impeach like George Bush. Like I remember like going up to his car with a pair of handcuffs. Like this is back then when you could like get close to the cars, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was like he like rolled down his window thinking I was like a little girl wanting to say something nice, and I was like, "You're going to prison." With handcuffs in my hand. I think I've just always been involved in it all my life. My dad's very about like social issues and he's raised me that way, and that's kind of just engraved in my brain from such like a young age. Um, but a big thing was just like I feel like I'm a very like emotional person, and I feel like writing helps me a lot. And so writing music and getting my thoughts out, but also being involved with so many things in my life, I think that's where I kind of got my motivation from. Like a lot of my inspiration is from my dad.
So I'm gonna get to your dad in a second. I gotta ask with that story. Did you at least get his autograph or anything? Or Mr. President? Or like
I didn't want his autograph.
it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so back to dad. And so dad was a big musical influence in your life, and you have some early memories. But you also have some like the music memories with your dad. You guys did a lot of concerts together and things like that.
hmm I couldn't even tell you how many concerts we've been to together, but like you couldn't even like put it on a sheet of paper.
Now, is it dad going, "Hey, Kelsey, let's go to the concert," or "Dad, take me to this concert"?
It's a little bit of both. I did have a phase when I was like 15. I like begged him to take me to a Justin Bieber concert, and
Oh
like
goodness.
me and him went, just me and him, and we had a blast. But we've been to so many. It's the other day actually. He texted me of an artist he found, and he was like, "She's coming to DC. Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yes."
That's right on. What's your favorite one that you guys went together?
I would say, okay. I always say this. My dad's very surprised, but it was actually Muse, the band.
Oh,
Um, and that was a great concert, and they were freaking good live. They like sounded great. They played like, am I allowed to say badass? They were badass
yeah,
live.
yeah.
Um, so that was one of my favorites. We had a very eventful night that a story will never be told, but it was hands down engraved in my brain. And another, I think, like a more recent one though, because I went to that when I was really younger. We actually went to Paul McCartney last year,
Oh wow.
Baltimore, and that was a lot of fun. He had like fireworks at the end of his show, and my dad and I sang every single song. My mom came and my sister, and they're kind of looking at us because they're like these freaks, and we're like screaming the lyrics the entire concert. We were one of those annoying people.
That's all right. That's cool. It sounds like the two of you have a lot of fun. I like those stories.
Yeah.
Um, so some of your early social media posts, Kelsey. I see you with instruments, like back in 2012. I think there's one. I could be wrong. Were you holding a banjo at one point?
I did used to play a little bit of banjo.
Yeah. I saw a banjo, I saw acoustic guitar. Then I saw you in the studio around 2017. Um, when did your professional music journey begin? Like, what would you say the beginning is, and what triggered that point?
I think really like when I started like playing instruments and like realizing I wanted to like play music and sing was actually around like 8 years old.
Right.
Um, I started playing all instruments at 8, and that's when I really started like singing and telling my dad and like making up melodies and stuff was around 8. A big thing of it was I was part of the Yoko Ono Peace Project. Um, and I like basically I was I was in the church choir, and we got together and made this song called like well, instead of war is over, we made it bush is over. The Harmonic Angels, we were called. And it was an anti-war song, and I wrote a letter, and I submitted it, and I ended up winning first place in the
Wow.
nation. And I won money because of that. And what I used on that money actually was I bought myself music lessons and singing lessons. And then my dad that Christmas actually bought me an acoustic guitar.
That's right
That's
on.
where it all started.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, and it's interesting, did you have musical instruments kind of kicking around and that kind of helped, but you got the acoustic guitar with that at that time frame too.
Yeah, we've always had musical instruments in our house, but I have pretty small hands. I'm only 5'1". Um and so I couldn't really like put my hand over the guitar and like, use like a normal guitar. So my dad had to get me like a really small acoustic guitar
Yeah,
that was made for a baby. And my hand barely still fit, but I made it work and I learned.
that's right on. It's a good story. Um, so look, as it's become more transparent, like when I look at your music in the last couple of years, um, aside from some of the great melodies you have and the beats, and you do, they're really, really good. I really enjoy them. There's a message, and it comes across. We've been talking for a few minutes now. It comes across. Sometimes it's social, right? You have a social message. But I'm finding that more and more it's aimed at bringing people together or trying to influence change. And it seems that you've got that history of trying to influence change in your life. I want to get back to some of your recent material in a bit, but just about that message, I don't think it's something new for you. Back in 2017, you posted this: music can change the world because it can change people. So, what was going on around the 2017 that motivated you to say that? And, was that the moment in time where that became your mantra, or is that the moment in time when you just made your mantra more public?
um so I think that's when I made it more public. Um, you know, I got inspired by the Beatles. I grew up on the Beatles, and that's why I know all their lyrics to every song. And they sang a lot about social causes, such as like "Let It Be" and "All You Need Is Love." And so I wrote that kind of as a way of saying is like, a lot of people they they write music that a lot of people listen to and they're like, wow, this is what it should be. Or another example would be like, when you listen to a song and you're in a really bad mood, but it's like a really happy song and it just like gets you out of that headspace. It changes you. So I feel like music can be used to change a lot of people and change people's thoughts and make them think differently when they hear lyrics and not just someone talking.
No, very true, very true. And it's intriguing. You like the Beatles, and not that you like the Beatles, that you grew up listening to the Beatles, right?
Oh yeah.
Generationally, right? It's surprising to hear that. We're talking about you going to Justin Bieber concerts, and I'm thinking maybe more modern, more pop. But I mean, the Beatles have transcended time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I guess when you write your songs, is that something that you're hoping for? Is that your music will transcend time?
Honestly, a girl can dream. We hope.
Well, you certainly have a lot of material. Look, the first release that's published on your website, and the website is kelsiekimberlin.com. It's
Mhm.
a song called Lobotomy. You released that, I hope I got this right, June 6th, 2020. And the song has a bit of a, it's got a bit of a suspenseful and dark underscore. At least that's my interpretation. Somebody else could listen to it and maybe you make them feel something different, or they notice something different. Um, your vocals, they definitely they caress the melody. You bring us along in the song, and you say this in the song description. Throughout history, people to their detriment have followed leaders, propagandists, and snake oil salesmen like lemmings off the cliff. Today it is no different, but more dangerous because of instantaneous media combined with mob mentalities. That's deep. that's that's really deep. So, can you share with us maybe the story behind the song, and that description? Can you tell us, you know, do you think things have gotten better or worse since you sang that song or wrote those words back in 2020?
So lobotomy was basically about how people follow like other people or leaders of their country mindlessly. Like people don't think for themselves. So I think that you did get the right message of it and being like a dark underscore because that's like what it was supposed to be. It like lobotomy predicted, what's going on with Ukraine and Trump when he came into office. And, that's like an example, like people are following these people mindlessly. Like they're not thinking for themselves. They're not doing for themselves. So that's kind of what it was. It was trying to get people to like wake up and like have their own voice and have their own thoughts and not just, I'm going to just say, not follow like bad people, like have a heart and a soul and think for yourself.
Do you think we're still in those moments right now, Kelsey?
Um, Well, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, um, Look what's going on with Ukraine. I will say people did wake up and get Trump out of office, which is amazing. But there's so much going on in the world, and I feel like a lot of people aren't speaking up, and a lot of people, like a lot of young people too, which is really sad because it's a lot of young people are like, what are gonna help change this world in this time and day? But a lot of young people don't care to vote. They don't care to get their voice out there. They just they're not doing anything, and I just think, and they're just like they'll follow like their parents mindlessly. Like I know lots of like 20-year-olds that are like, oh, Trump this, or like they think the war in Ukraine is cool, like go Putin, he's badass or something. And it's like, are your parents telling you this, or do you think this? And so that's what gets to me is, people don't think for themselves nowadays. That's what it's looking like.
Do you feel, being in Washington D.C., do you feel a deeper um, do you feel a deeper divide in the fabric of America that influences music?
um you could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say like an example of like how I think a lot of things have changed and divided how people are going in mindlessly is like, it's like my mom's from Ukraine, born and raised there, and like an example is like she was just like out walking, and like someone like called her a word, and then told her to go back to her country. And so it's like things like that. That's what's happening. And like if you think about that, like I think 3 or 4 years ago, like you that wouldn't have really happened, And it's weird that my mom's been here all her life and that's never happened to her, but it did. So I think the world is going a little under right now.
We need to bring it up, and maybe the music, maybe your music is going to help. Um, Look, when it comes to your sound, you've got a really unique voice, and I think it's the type of voice that an artist dreams of having, because it can be distinguished from other artists. I know when I hear your music, I can go, yeah, that's Kelsie. That's Kelsie Kimberlin singing her songs. Um, is there, and I don't know if this is a fair question, so I'm sorry, but is there someone you're trying to sound like? Is there an artist that maybe you model your style after? Or am I just hearing, are we just hearing Kelsie Kimberlin the way we should hear Kelsie Kimberlin?
Well, I want to first say thank you. That means a lot. That's a cool compliment to hear that you know it's me. But I've actually never thought of trying to sound like someone else. Honestly, what you're hearing like is my organic voice. I actually used to get kind of annoyed when like people used to try to compare my voice to other singers, but now I find it like a compliment, you know. But I am my own person. I'm not trying to be someone else.
Who do you get compared to?
I used so when I was really young, around like 15, I'd get compared to Taylor Swift. I have been compared to Miley Cyrus because they say we both have a little bit of raspiness in our voices. And then one person compared me to Adele once
Hmm.
in one of my songs that they heard, but that was when I took it as a compliment.
Those are, I mean, those are all great compliments, right? To be compared to. So,
Yeah.
um, Kelsey, the first time I heard your song or your music, it was a song called Cosmopolitan Girl. It came across my desk. I have a little radio station called the Path Radio, pathradio.com. And so I get this, I can't remember what one of the distributors sent it to me. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, this sounds like a fun song, right? So I start spinning it. It gains a bit of a following, and some people are digging the song and they're liking it. That song was released on September 5th, 2022. In the song, you talk about New York, you talk about France, you talk about England, and so I'm thinking, well, who's the cosmopolitan girl? Are we hearing? Like, is this a personal story? Is it you? Are you the Cosmo girl in the song, or is it someone you know?
It's actually about me. Um, I actually so I travel a lot. Um, I've I've traveled so many places. I've been to all the places that I mentioned in the song. Especially I've been to Asia too. I've been to Indonesia. Um, been to Germany. I've been to so many places. It's one of my favorite things to do is actually travel. And every year on my birthday, I literally look at my dad and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm going on a trip. This is my birthday present to me. So that's what I do. It was just like talking about like, how I love to travel, but then it was also I was, thinking about like how people like should get along no matter their differences and cultures and how they should embrace it. And like that's why I was trying to make it like a fun song because like it's fun to travel somewhere and get to know something cool and new and try all the new food and you know
There goes the food.
food's always the best part.
Well,
But
look, I can't say that I envisioned myself as a cosmopolitan girl, but it was a fun song, and I thought it would translate to some folks who might think that way, right? And because you had the multiple places, and I thought, I wonder if it was her, and it is. It's you. It's you in the song. So, um, now here's something that happened here is the next song that I hear from you is a song called Fruit Basket, and that gets released on November 30th, 2022. And I hear this song and I'm thinking, I know it's you. I hear your voice and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This sounds different. It's really cool, but different. So then I go back and I'm like, I gotta listen to Cosmopolitan Girl like before I listen to Fruit Basket again. So I'm listening to the two songs and I'm going, all right, different, but really cool. So I spin that on the pathradio.com. It becomes a regular in some of the indie segments. It transitions into some of the other mainstream segments on the songs. It becomes something regular. People are like, hey, I really like that song. Great. But it's got this pop Latin type of mix to it. The that sort of the guitar work at the beginning, it kind of grabs you in, and then your vocals kick in, and like, okay, there's her, it complements the what's going on. How did you go from Cosmopolitan Girl to Fruit Basket? Like, how did you switch gears like that? What led, I guess, to the Latin mix? Did you work with someone to get that musical sound? Are you gonna do more of it? I know a lot of questions, right? Sorry.
no, I got you. I can answer all of them.
It's a fruit basket of questions, Kelsey.
So I love almost all kinds of music. The one thing I can't listen to is like heavy metal. But so I've always like loved Latin music and I was like I should do something different and I've been wanting to do something more pop and more upbeat and something you can like dance to. And so I originally recorded the song and it didn't sound like that at all. It was a little slower. And I looked at my dad and I was like, I do not like this. I was like, we're throwing it in the trash. We're never singing again. We're never hearing from it again. It's going into the archives. I was like, I don't even want to know about it. And when I was like, what are you talking about? It's a great song. I'm like, no, there's something here. I don't like it. And then I was like, my dad suggested, he's like, why don't we send it to Pedro? And so we sent it to Pedro. Pedro really liked the song. He actually sings with me on the song.
Who's Pedro?
He mixes and masters some of my mixes some produces some of my new songs.
Okay.
And he sang on Fruit Basket. He's the rapper on Fruit Basket.
Okay.
Sings in Spanish. Um, and we sent it to him, and he came up with this idea. He was like, you've been wanting to do something like this. Why don't we try it? And I was like, go for it. I was like, it's going in the archives. Go for it. We'll see. And then he sent it back to me, and I was like, I love this. This is amazing. So I re-recorded it because you had to make it match up and make it sound
Yeah.
good together and have more beat. So I re-recorded it, and I loved everything about it. And then we came up with this idea. I was like, what can we do more to it? We were like, Pedro, why don't you sing on it? Because Pedro, he's a good singer and he's a good rapper. And I was like, sing on it, do something for it. So we sent it back to him. He did it. We came back and we loved it. And we were like, okay, this is good. We like it. And then we were figuring out like, we got to shoot a video, but we don't want to shoot the video without Pedro. Because I didn't want some like random guy coming in next to me and like, that wasn't Pedro and being Pedro. And we were like, this is a great time for us finally to meet face to face because we'd only like talked. And so that's why I went to Colombia
Oh.
and shot the video.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the video shot right in Colombia. Wow.
Yeah, in Cartagena.
Wow. That's pretty wild. So why is it called Fruit Basket? What's the idea behind that?
So there's very something so this is it was I think that the universe was telling me something when I named it this. But but fruit basket first. We're gonna get to that. It's a metaphor for like sweet things that you can find in life. Like there's a basket of the fruit and it's all sweet, but like sweet things in life. But then when we're going to Cartagena, Pedro told me there's women in Colombia that wear fruit baskets on their head in the old city, and they sell fresh fruit, and then they're carrying these huge baskets just filled with fruit to the brim, and they're just walking around like not even holding it, just holding it on their head, bouncing it. And I was like, this is amazing. And that's where we shot the video, and in some in the old city and some and that's what we did. And we had ladies in the video with the fruit baskets, and
Yeah.
it kind of just like worked out. I think the universe was like telling me something. We're all
So
more mysterious ways.
you had the name before you went there, and it got you kind of got convinced. Yeah, that is the name.
No, the name, I'm not even lying right now. The name before going to Cartagena, knowing about all of this, and then making it Latin was called Fruit Basket.
So your transition in music styles, um, that's just part of who you. That's part of your identity as a music artist, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Now you kicked off 2023 and you put out a cover of "Rooting for My Baby." You did that on January 23rd. It's a Miley Cyrus song, and we talked about Miley Cyrus a bit earlier. Is that one of your musical influences on your journey, and why that song?
She actually is. I really like Miley Cyrus. But so rooting for my baby, she put it out on her Bangers album, and anytime people knew the album, no one knew the song "Rooting for My Baby," and I was like, this is the best song on the album, and I'd been listening to it since like middle school. It's still my favorite song to this day, and I know it like the back of my hand. And I was like, I love singing this song. I was like, I kind of want to do something different with it, and I want to re-record it. And so then my dad was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So we went in the studio and we did it. But it's one of my favorite songs, honestly.
Right on. Yeah, we were playing that too. So we become a fan. So we play a lot of your music. So
Thank you.
now your latest one is Spoof I Wonder. You released that on March 6th.
Mhm.
And it's visibly a personal song for you. You've mentioned you're of Ukrainian heritage, and you've wrapped yourself in the Ukrainian flag in that song. It's in the cover photo, it's in the video. Um, the song comes out near the 1 year anniversary of the Russian war on Ukraine. Um, it's got a serious, somewhat somber melody to it. Um, was it Was it a difficult song for you to put together, given your heritage and your ties to Ukraine and whatnot?
I don't think it was difficult. I think it needed to be done. It was hard to like see the war photos. So in the video, I had there's a my dad's friends with a frontline photographer, and he
Mm,
sent us a bunch of photos of what was going on. So that's what I'm putting up around in the heart of the
mm.
Ukrainian flag. So that was a little hard to see, like some of the photos. They were pretty gruesome if you looked at them closely up. I think that was the hardest part of it all. Um, another thing was I actually had to film it twice. So I did it once, and then I was gonna release it in a week, and then something went wrong. So I had to shoot it all in one night, and then released it like a couple days later because I wanted to get it out for the
Wow.
1 year anniversary. Um, but no, the so I actually came up with that somber melody. Actually, it's like I kind of stole it like a riff from the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. And I wanted like something that expressed the pain of people there who've suffered from the war, and so that's why I did it like that. So it wasn't too hard. It was just something that needed
I
to be
think
done.
Kelsey, um I think you captured what you described there. And part of me was, it's almost like the song should be in a movie of some kind, and in that type of descriptive things where, you talked about the photos that you put up. But it almost like it should be a scene in a movie. So maybe someone will pick that up someday and and do that. Look, there's a line in that song that reads, "I prayed to God for some answers, but heard no reply. I'm sure that he's deaf." That's a strong line. Is that what you believe? And was that the girl who grew up in the singing in the church choir? Is that a hard line for you to write as an artist?
Not at all, actually. And it wasn't hard for me to sing or write because people of Ukraine have been praying for peace, but still are getting killed every day.
Yeah.
And by the line, like I believe he like isn't listening because prayers and peace have not happened. Um, so
Do we
I
need to pray harder?
no,
No.
I'm not religious, but so it wasn't very hard for me to like to say it, but I also just think that like he actually isn't listening. People are getting killed every single day, being bombed. It's been going on. It's been going on for a long time. It's like it really everything started with Euro Maidan in 2012 2014 when they kicked their old president out of the country for trying to make corruption with Russia. So that's kind of all when it started, and it just has been going downhill ever since.
Yeah, and I guess, some people may say maybe many things that are not being heard when it comes to prayers, I suppose, right? Um,
Yeah.
Look, what do you hope the song will do when you think of the continued challenges for Ukraine that you've talked about? What's your hope for the song?
I hope it just raises awareness of the horrors of the war and what's happening down there. And, I hope it will bring peace to the country and help bring peace to the country. So that's just my goal. And, like I was saying like earlier, is I think that everyone needs to start having a voice, speaking out about things they believe in and what they need people to hear. And so I'm just trying to live by what I believe.
Thank you for no, thanks for sharing your message with us on those things. It's courageous and brave, right? When you're doing those sorts of things, because as artists, you put yourselves out there and when you live your songs and you put yourself out there, it's something meaningful. Look, with all the social messages in your songs, and some call you an activist. Are you an activist? Are you an artist? Or are those things mutually exclusive these days? Not just for you, but maybe for all performers, whether it be music, and I dare to say acting, because I think when you're in acting, you're putting yourself into a different role, perhaps. But what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I believe I'm an artist, but I believe that artists can change and have a lot of influence on others in the world. And I wish more people use their voices to speak out, more artists, people that have a bigger platform than me that don't. So I think they have a lot of influence, but I think there's a lot of art in that as well. But I consider myself an artist, not an activist.
I'll go with that. I'll go with artist. I'll go with artist too. Sure. um, Look, you've been working with Michael Brower, who I understand has worked with artists like Billy Joel, Rod Stewart, Katie Tunstall, Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan, so many others. How did you start working with Michael? Is that something you're going to continue doing? And I guess, what does it mean for your music, influence wise or otherwise?
So I work with a lot of Grammy winners, including Michael. But I met Michael because he meditates, and he did this online podcast where he talked about meditation and how it helps him with his musical craft. And my dad's also a meditator, and I grew up meditating sometimes, not always. My dad wishes I did it more. Um, and basically, my dad talked with him and showed him my music and introduced us, and he started working with me. And then we really bonded. My dad and him bonded over meditation, but me and him really bonded over my dog, Bishla's. We bonded over my dog breed and how he thought he should get one.
Is this Ruby again?
Yeah.
Ruby. It comes back to Ruby.
So she really opened the flood doors and the floodgates.
Right on. Right on, Ruby.
He was also in the room when we first met, like through Zoom.
Oh.
So she was on my lap talking with me.
That's right on. And it's cool meditation. So I did an entire show and we did meditation stuff. So it's kind of cool. There's a lot of benefits to meditation. Um, so are you still doing the meditation or yes, you are.
I do it once in a while. I'm
Yeah.
not like my dad. My dad will do it as soon as he wakes up and goes to sleep. So does my
Yeah.
grandma. My aunt does it. My aunts literally did like a medit like over COVID, she did this Zoom thing where she had to sit for 8 hours in silence on like a Zoom group meditation. Um, it was a little much for her though. She was like, I just wanted to talk at one point. But I've done it once in a while, but it's more like sometimes I have so much going on in my day and I have school as well as doing music that sometimes at the end of the day I just pass out.
So I'll share this with you, and this is a bit different, and maybe at some point, if you haven't done it, one of the interesting ways, it's not full meditation, but it's a form of, we're often very much on our telephones, right? And you're kind of waiting in a grocery store line or a store line, and what do we do? We're kind of bored, but we pull out our phone and we start doing something. Well, I've tried it a couple of times where you just don't do that, but you're gonna sit there and wait and just start, closing your eyes and thinking and listening to the sounds around you, and then kind of becoming in tune with what's going on around you. And that has changed, even your patience when you're waiting in line, because you're like, you stop going, oh, it's taking so long, and you become in tune with some of the things that are going on around you. So I talk about that on one of the other shows. I got to get your dad and see if he listens to it, if he agrees or what he thinks about it. So, um,
It,
anyways, I digress there. What was that, Kelsey?
I think he definitely would agree. I'm pretty sure my dad does this too.
Oh, really?
My dad will
Okay.
be sitting at his office desk like this, and he's not sleeping. He'll hear every word you say, and he'll just be like, 5 minutes, don't talk.
Hey, look, you've been releasing songs every couple of months. Is that part of the plan? Can we expect that moving forward?
So yes, I'm in the studio twice a week, and I
Wow.
record 2 songs a week. So it's a matter of like, sending the songs off and getting them fully finished, and when they come back, and if I like them, tweaking them. So that's always like a factor. But I think every couple months, I'm gonna try my best to release new music. I have one little barrier with I'm now a college student as well as doing this, so I have to find time that I can like film a video. But I am filming two new music videos in Colombia this summer, so
Wow.
that's for sure. Guys will see that soon.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Are you at some point looking to bundle these songs up into an album of some kind? And I guess part two, are you gonna take these on the road? Are you gonna sing on the road a bit or
So I hope to like maybe release an album in the next year or at least an EP. I won't
yeah,
say album, I'm gonna say EP to
yeah.
be safe. Um, but it all just depends on like how my year's going and what it's looking like and what songs I think would fit well together. So, but I have talked about it and I have thought about it and I have made lists. So we'll see maybe in the next year. And being on the road and maybe singing live, I've always wanted to do that and I would love to do that. But it's just if the opportunity arises to do that.
It's a matter of timing at the moment, I guess.
If someone reaches out and tells me they want me to come on a tour, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I would say, "See you later, college."
Let's see what can happen. So, Kelsie, on that note, if you wanted people, or other artists to know one thing about Kelsie Kimberlin, what would that be?
Oh, this is always a tricky one. In school when they ask you to talk to your peers and let them know one thing about you, and you never know what to say. That's like one of those moments. But I think like a big one would be that I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm a huge animal lover. I We have 12 animals at my house, all because of me. My dad has literally banned me from being allowed at animal shelters and will not let me bring home another pet. If I even like mention an animal, he's like, "No, we have enough. No more." That's a huge thing about me.
So, would you take them on the road with you?
Oh my gosh. I would never go anywhere out without Ruby. Ruby is going everywhere with me.
Oh,
I
wow.
can't sleep without my dog at night. One of my favorite things to do at the end of the day is I have a heated blanket. My dog loves it. She loves to go underneath it and sleep in it. We both cuddle up in it. She gets in my arms, puts her head little here on my neck, and we watch our Netflix together.
So, I joked about it when we first started talking. Do you have a song called Ruby?
No, but I've always thought about it. I should definitely write something because I have told it doesn't matter what man is in my life, you are not more important than my dog. If you make me
Wow.
choose, it's the dog. It's not you. You're going back to the streets.
Guys have been put on notice. It's with Ruby or not at all.
She sleeps in the
Oh
bed. She's not sleeping on the floor.
man.
Gets a pillow.
So look, we're having a little bit of fun. We're having a few laughs. Sometimes I do something called rapid question answer on just some random things. I've got a few for you today if you're cool with it. Are you cool with it?
I'm ready.
So 6 seconds with Kelsie. I'm just gonna say them out. You pick one and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, you ready?
Hmm.
Just on the heels of fruit basket, bananas or oranges?
Bananas.
Miley Cyrus or Megan Trainor?
Miley Cyrus.
That was a given, eh? Paris or New York?
Paris.
Paris, New York, or Washington?
Paris, New York, or Washington? Ooh, Paris.
All right. Going to the beach or shopping?
Beach.
TikTok or YouTube?
TikTok. It's shorter.
Sandals or what was that?
It's shorter.
Shorter. Sandals or running shoes?
Running shoes.
Oh wow. I was thinking you were gonna go sandals because of the I was like, I bet she's gonna pick beach, but then I thought maybe she'll go with sandals. Anyways, just a little bit of fun, Kelsie. Hopefully you're okay with that.
No.
Um, look, I'm so thankful that you came on the show. I've had a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about you, about your music, and I hope everybody else has as well. Before we let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you for having me and thank you for being, playing all of my music. And I also want to say thank you to everyone that supports me out there as well. It means a lot to me because I used to not believe in myself so much. So it helps to know like people noticing and they care too and like what I'm doing. So I just want to say thank you.
That is think for yourself as we thank you, Kelsie Kimberlin, and no onions. She is an American artist and singer from Washington, D.C. with a "We Can" message for all of us, raising social awareness across a variety of themes, advocating for change through a relentless pace of music releases as she dedicates her craft to helping the world heal. She's got that recognizable voice that you'll want to hit repeat on, and you're going to hear her songs here, so you'll have a chance to hit repeat. Please do. When you hear her songs, we're going to ask Kelsie to maybe introduce a song for us here at the end. But I also want to mention that your videos are on YouTube and TikTok, right? We're going to include all your social media. Sorry, go ahead. You're going to correct me on TikTok.
I am getting to TikTok. I
You're
am
getting to TikTok.
working on it now.
Okay. So we're going to watch for those. We're going to put all of your links, all of your social media links in our podcast notes. And I think we're going to listen to a song. Maybe, can you introduce it for us, Kelsie?
Let's kick it off and listen to one of my new songs, Cosmopolitan Girl, and I hope you guys love it.
Here we go. Thank you, Kelsie.